What's up, everybody? This is Law, and you're tuned into another episode of Redline Legendz podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. Today, I have an extremely, very important figure that's influenced people across the world. We have a legend himself, the retired national president of the mighty Black Sabbath Motorcycle Club Nation, Black Dragon. How you doing, sir?
I'm excellent. Thank you, brother.
Good. Thank you so much.
Appreciate having you.
Man, it's very good to be here. I just have a couple questions for you. I've been riding for about 10 years.
Uh-huh.
And that's not, compared to, I know that there's people that's been doing it for years. And I know when I first fell in love. So I enjoy being able to gain knowledge, learn from the people who have gone before me. So I just got a couple questions for you. First off, where did the passion or where did the love for riding motorcycles come from for you?
Well, first of all, giving honor, of course, to God for all things that He has done for me in this lifestyle, keeping me safe and riding, and a full patch brother of my club, the mighty Black Sabbath Motorcycle Club Nation. I just want to let everybody know that I'm very thankful. And then I'm very honored to be found. I saw your podcast and young new guy in the group, and coming out and professional, and everything is looking good. And you've traveled quite a distance to come see me, and also attend your party, your annual with the block burners and everything. And I watched that club, your club. I watched it grow. I saw it from its inception and its beginnings. And your national president started in a garage in my neighborhood, and I used to go back and hang out over there. I probably took the first pictures of the half-naked girls that were over there in that little garage place. I still have those pictures. Oh, that was fun. So I appreciate it. I'm really hoping that your channel does big things, and
yes, sir.
I think that you, from what I've seen, you got the right kind of approach and attitude towards this.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
My passion for for motorcycles. Please forgive me. I'm trying to get over a cold, but my passion for motorcycles. My gosh, it came from. Oh my goodness! Ever since I was about 3 or 4 years old.
Wow.
Living at Redstone Arsenal, which is an army base in. Oh my goodness, in Alabama. I think it's Redstone Arsenal, Alabama. And I was there in the 60s, and I was born in 63. So I was there in the early 60s, and you still had a whole bunch of Jim Crow and all kinds of strife going on for African Americans to get rights. And it was a very dangerous time. And my parents were always upset. People were being hung. Martin Luther King had been recently killed. It was a lot going on. And there was, for me, during all that time, there was great peace and sanctuary in bicycles, and then later in mini bikes and motorcycles. And everybody had them. So I think that I was hooked from a very early age, wanting to be on anything with two wheels. And the thing that probably set the hook,
Okay,
was there was a white hippie with this full-face beard, and he was a big burly guy. And like I say, it was during a time of great racial unrest. And he rode past, and there I was standing there, and as the bike came, I just went, and he's looking at me with this evil look, and he spins his motorcycle around, and he comes riding back up to me, and he says, "You got a problem, boy?"
wow.
And I said, and he says, "What you looking at then?" And I pointed at the motorcycle. And he said, "You like this motorcycle, boy?" And I shook my head, "Yeah, uh-huh." And he says, "You want to ride this motorcycle, boy?" And I thought, my mom told me never to ride with strangers, and that thought was gone in a half a second. And I was like, I shook my head, yeah, I want to ride. And he reached down and he snatched me up and he put me on the gas tank.
Wow.
About this time, my mom sees him from the window. And as he, and the back tires are spinning and the bike is going from side to side, and I'm yelling like, yeah, I could hear this, John, like that, and my mom is running after this guy and gone. He's gone. And we went riding. There was no helmets, none of that. And we must have rode for an hour. Wow. All over the place at what seemed like to me 100 miles an hour. So by the time we get back, the cops are there and everything. Oh, yeah. And my mother flies into this guy with the windmill, just punching him and hitting him. And he never even dropped the motorcycle. He's just laughing. Is that the best you got, Mama? Just tough guy. So tough. And by this time, the police got him, and they yank him off the motorcycle, and someone yanks me off the motorcycle. And they got his hands behind his back, and my mom is screaming and cussing him out and calling him all these names.
Yeah.
And the cops are calling him hippie, this, that, and the other. And he's just laughing. And my mom said something to him, and he said, he loves motorcycles. And she said something like, he'll never be on another one.
Wow.
And he said to her, that's wrong, Mama. He's ours now. And he had that evil Satan-like grin, laugh. And they took his butt away. I never saw him again. I don't know what happened to him, because I was relegated to the home.
Yeah.
Where I immediately got beaten. Back then, you got beaten. I think she got me with some Hot Wheel tracks or something like that. So I got towed up for riding with strangers. But it set the hook. Like,
yeah, that's what it was.
He said, he's ours now.
Yeah. And
I surely was. And then everything from that day forward was, can I have a motorcycle? Can I have a motorcycle? Can I have a motorcycle? And she was just absolute adamant. No, you can't have a motorcycle until finally she said I could have a mini bike. And it took off from there. Mini bikes, enduros, dirt bikes, anything that had, I had a 3-wheeler ATC 50 or something like that. Back then you could have 3-wheelers. Now they're illegal. But I had a 3-wheeler and rolled that thing over 100 times, mini bikes, and just grew up on bikes. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, man. That's real.
And I suppose at some point at some point I switched to street bikes. I switched to street bikes when I was about maybe 16. I had a Silver Wing, which is a Honda 500 with a Vetter fairing. It was half of a Gold Wing, which was a Honda 1000. Okay. So I had the Vetter fairing. And back then, Vetter made all your fairings before Honda and those guys and Harley figured out that they'd put their own fairings on. Before that, you would buy a Vetter fairing. That was a CX500 V-twin. And then I got the Interceptor 500. And then I got the 750. Was it a CBR 750? And then I got the KZ1000, the KZ1300, then I went to the Suzuki's, the GS 1100, 1100 ES, and those are just big. Well, I used to ride those motorcycles standing up on them like surfing. Like you just stand up, you'd put the throttle lock on and you would just surf 80, 90 miles and just be surfing. And I would ride the wheelies, and my sisters would always be on the back screaming as I'm. And my baby sister tells a story that she grew up with her head a half an inch off the ground as she's holding on, and we were riding because my wheelies had to be 12 o'clock. None of this 7 o'clock. None of this 11 o'clock stuff or 10 o'clock. My wheelies had to be 12 o'clock. Yeah. So This was before stoppies. Like, I had never seen a stoppie until I was, 30 years old before I had ever seen a stoppie,
Wow.
like a front wheelie. I had never seen that before. And Evil Knievel was like my favorite person in the world. And I had a little Evil Knievel, and you would wind him up and then let it go. And and that sucker would take off and jump and all this stuff. So I was a bike rider before I was ever what I would consider a biker. I was into the life and the love of anything that operated on two wheels, snowmobiles, wave runners, all that stuff. And I say wave runner, you know I'm old when I say wave runner,
runners.
because that's not what they call them now. But and you stood up on them and you rode behind them like a jet ski or something, or like a ski, and then the jet skis came and all that. So anything that was a 2-stroke or a 4-stroke that sounded like that was me.
Wow. So, being that you've gone through all these different bikes and you've seen how the just different time periods have changed and transitions, what is your favorite era, either for just being for biking or even being a biker?
So, my favorite era for biking as a biker, I think, is the same as with anyone who gets older, the nostalgia of when you were younger. So for me, it was the time period of the 80s, late 70s, 80s to the 90s. For me, that was just the most amazing time. The bikes weren't as fast, but they were the fastest thing in the world for us.
Yeah.
Like the Honda Hurricane was so crazy. You could pop a wheelie in fourth gear at 100 miles an hour. You could hit that sucker and it would come right up like, holy Lord, is there any end to this thing? And that people were just getting killed on them left and right. This is back when they would put turbochargers on these things, like the first Hayabusa 1300 with the turbocharger on it. Like, and these things would do like, you could do a real 200 miles an hour for real, and these were like super bikes. Like when I go back to when I was a kid, and that motorcycle, this one guy went running from the cops to our neighborhood, and I think about that 400 Honda he was on, that was chopped, and he led them for 2 hours. He was riding around there. They never caught him. And then, you're thinking about that 400 Honda that was chopped, and how technologically lame that motorcycle was, and how he was knocking people out of the box.
Wow.
And then you come back around, and the motorcycles that we have today kill those.
Yeah.
But the nostalgia of the period, like, you could actually run from the cops back then. There was no helicopter.
Right.
There was no that stuff didn't exist. There was no radio and we got 13 Charlie Sierra 1. We'll meet you on that. You could actually outrun the cops. I created a whole system I call the rat hole system just for running from cops. And it was a predetermined routes, a series of routes to the city that were designed to put you in, quote unquote, a rat hole in one area, and you'd pop out the rat hole in the other. And it consisted of alleys and streets and backways and roads and off-roads, and each one had a destination. You can't do that now. Now they got a satellite or whatever, or cameras all over town. So for me, the nostalgia of being a true biker comes from those days. And then also, when you're talking about motorcycle clubs, which is what we talk about a lot, the nostalgia of being with a real live, hardcore, old school motorcycle club when you didn't have 50 in one city or 200 in one city or 300 in one city to choose from. In the old days, if you weren't, all the motorcycle clubs were like friends with each other.
Yeah.
These were like affiliated clubs. They were brother clubs. They were like, it was like everybody knew everything that was going on with everybody in every club. So all of this, I'm going to quit the Black Sabbath today and be a block burner tomorrow. That didn't happen back then. You were so close and so friendly with other clubs. They would tell you something like, "Well, no, man, you're not getting along with the Black Sabbath. You need to go on back home and work that out."
Right.
No, everybody wasn't like clamoring that they want to grow so bad that they're taking the same bad people and regurgitating over you. Back in that day, a person going to 5 clubs in 3 years, unheard of.
Didn't happen.
Just didn't happen. So for me, that was a more pure time, and that was the reason I kind of started my channel, was to talk about those things I think young people would want to know.
Yeah.
How this was done.
Yeah.
In yesteryear, and why it was so important and lasted as long as it has.
Yeah, and coming from my end, as like one of the young cats that came in, I recognize, even with myself, when you first get into it, it can kind of go to your head. It's just like, shh. And when you have those old heads and then they're trying to give you knowledge, sometimes you might not want to hear it. But after seeing stuff, and somebody might tell me something, this is going to happen. Hey, you do this. This is what's going to happen. And then you see it happen. You're like, wait a minute. Some people have already done this. I need to listen to them, actually see what's going on, and pay my respects. I don't know it all. I'm not the baddest thing out here. How do I learn? How do I learn more? How do I gain more knowledge to make this journey more enjoyable and actually get some knowledge out of it? So that's where I kind of came up with my my channel, to celebrate people who've gone before me and give it back. So definitely looking at, because you do give back so much, looking back at all of the accomplishments, going through the different years and all the things that you've done, did you realize, or did you know how impactful that you actually would be to bikers in not even just this country, but across the world?
I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's not anything I planned. And it is still surreal to walk into a place and have people say Black Dragon or We MC, you know, stuff I've come up with. To have people say that, I don't know if I will ever be ready for that. Mm-hmm. You're not ever ready for that. And then there have been some kooks too, and some crazies, and then it's been some very high highs and very low lows, and there have been people that have been angry, people that get mad at what you say, people that say, oh, you shouldn't be talking about this subject or that subject. I've had the gamut. But to have people following you in Russia or South America or Africa or Israel or the UK, to put on your show and have folks from all over the world tuning in is a blessing. And I don't know the full extent to what I've given back or anything like that. I can just say I wanted to be a help. And that's why I wrote the books, and that's why I did that and the podcast and all this kind of stuff. But I can say that I set out on a journey to add to the conversation.
Okay.
And that's all it ever was. So when I started Black Iron Motorcycle Magazine, it was because I was in my clubhouse, and when I went to white motorcycle club houses, there were all these pictures of these beautiful women, white women, on motorcycles, posed on these motorcycles, and these pictures were cutouts taken out of magazines. I go back to our clubhouse, and they got the Miller Lite girls on the wall, or the Budweiser King girl. And it's a picture that's 20 years old because Budweiser did like one black girl. And that's all you could look at for 20 years. And then there would be these Jet posters, you know, on the wall from Jet. It had nothing to do with bikers.
Yeah.
And I would look in magazines like Lowrider or something like that. Right. And there's all these skinny white girls that are pretty, but no representation of African American women whatsoever. Our big bone, nicely curved, nice booty sisters, you know. And I was like, why won't they put us in the magazines? And it dawned on me, this they thing. Why the hell should they?
Right.
They're representing the greatness of their culture, the fineness of their women, the beauty. And I keep sitting around thinking about they and what the hell they should do when I'm plenty capable of doing it my damn self.
Yeah.
So then I said, and then there was this brother that had a motorcycle. Long Riders magazine came out, which was a magazine that had a lot of black folks in it, but they were really trying to toe the line and kind of be all encompassing. So they would have white girls and black girls and things like that. And I was saying to myself, no, there's plenty of magazines with the other side in it. We're afraid to make a black magazine.
Yeah.
We're afraid to make a magazine that had beautiful African American women in it. And so I wanted that magazine. And so there was another brother that came out with a magazine called Black Rider or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was the first magazine I ever saw, and this is in the 90s, with black women in it and all about black bikers. And then the brother from oh my goodness, Ringo from Flaming Knights came out with Knight Errants.
Okay.
Was his magazine. So the brother that was doing the black biker magazine, he had a wreck. And when he had a wreck, his whole magazine went down. And so I was thinking, well, damn, I can do Black Iron. And I did Black Iron Motorcycle Magazine. And it was probably over the top because it wasn't a whole lot about motorcycles at all. We weren't even really taking good pictures of motorcycles, but them girls had them rear ends up in the air. And it was so bad. When I took it to the roundup, people would open it up and shut the book because they was with their wife. They'd shut, oh, no, hell no, bro. You didn't come up with a porn magazine here. But everybody had their clothes on. I just thought it was a great magazine. Funny, believe it or not. So I started toning Black Iron down a little bit. And then, believe it or not, the writer of the movie Biker Boyz, at that time, now that one guy had a wreck, and his mag was down, and Knight Errants hadn't really gotten off the ground, and Long Riders was kind of a mixed magazine. So Reggie Rock Bythewood, who did the movie Biker Boyz, found a copy of Black Iron. Mm-hmm. And Black Iron, the initial Black Iron was a complete failure because I had hired these guys from the Roundup to take it to the Roundup so I could sell it at the Roundup.
Okay.
And they had basically wrecked the truck or something. And so I had to pick up my magazines and take them from there. And I didn't have a big truck. So I had magazines stacked on top of my car and everything in boxes, and I'm driving down the highway at 40 miles an hour, the interstate.
Yeah.
And these are the blessings that come from God. A cop pulled up, and he's driving, and he looks over at me, and I got all these boxes of magazines. All you could do was like see out of the front window. And he looked over at me and said, hell no. And kept on driving. Like, I'm not even going to stop.
I don't even want to know.
And what I had to do with those magazines is from Atlanta to California was stop in motorcycle clubhouses across the country and just drop off a box, you know. And so I only made $900 from that, like, $30,000 investment. I made $900, and I got to the Roundup and nobody liked them because they were so crazy and nobody would buy them. So the founder of my motorcycle club got my whole motorcycle club together, and they basically went through the entire Roundup, which you can't do anymore, by the way.
Really?
You can't sell like that. The Roundup doesn't let you do that. But in 2000, I think it was 2000, they went through the whole Roundup selling my book for $1 a book. And they made $900 for me to get back home. And it was that failure that brought the movie Biker Boyz.
Wow.
Because some kind of way, the producer, the writer of that movie, Reggie Rock Bythewood, saw my magazine, And he calls me up in Atlanta, or they sent me an email or something. I think it was an email. You must be that great publisher, Black Dragon, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I am? Oh, yeah, I am. And we want you to do the movie Biker Boys. Well, so I never set out that I'm going to do the movie Biker Boys or something like that. It came from working in other areas.
Goodness.
And so I always tell the story of when you're wondering, should I do something? Caesar had this big question, should I build the Colosseums? Mm-hmm. And he was told, because this is going to cost a lot of money, and if these folks don't like it, they'll feed me to the lions. I'm fixing to bankrupt the coffers with this. And someone told him, if you build it, Caesar, they will come. And to this day, now Caesar's been dead for 400 years, 1,000 years, something. And to this day, we still go to the Colosseum. So building is important. I left my house one time, back in the time when you could just run through an airport like O.J. Simpson and get on a plane. So you're probably too young to even know what the hell I'm talking about.
No, I
But
know.
O.J. Simpson used to run through airports.
Oh.
This was before TSA and all that. And I was, my plane was going to leave and I was late. I was running, trying to get to the plane. And I didn't know how to get to the airport from where I lived in Encinitas. And so this was before GPS. I said, you guys, you young folks got all this stuff. So I jumped in the car heading downtown because I knew the airport was downtown. I'm driving 100 miles an hour. All of a sudden, I start seeing these signs that said airport. And so the signs took me directly to the airport. And I'm like, oh, God, what am I going to do with my car? And I see this sign. It says 24-hour parking, 1-day parking, 3-day parking. So I drove in. There was a sign. I parked my car. I jumped out. And I'm like, oh, my God, how am I going to get to the airport? A shuttle pulls right up. I jumped in the shuttle. I get to the thing, and I'm running in, and I'm like, here's my bags and stuff. And back then, the bag checker thing was right at the gate that you were getting ready to get on. He runs my bag through. I run, and I jump on the plane. I'm breathing hard. The door shuts, and I fly away. The lesson I learned. You're not going to always be 100% prepared. If you get moving in the direction you want to know, God will provide what you need. I didn't have everything all together, but I was moving in a direction to make something happen. So God was like, okay, he needs a sign. And we do that. We know a lot of people in the world don't know where the San Diego airport is, but we got signs that'll take you right there if you get close to the vicinity.
Yeah.
The signs took me there. I get to the airport. Well, we know people don't know how to talk. God is all this stuff that's been planned out long before I ever decided to make a trip to get to an airport, to get on that thing. And then at that time, you could just run and go jump on the airplane, and that's how that worked. So I tell all young people, when you're trying to move, and especially people that tell me they're Christians, because I always crack up at Christians. They're the ones that are the most afraid to do anything. And the Bible says you have not because you ask not, but once you ask.
That's the first thing you said when I called you.
That's the first thing I said, because once you've asked, then you already know it's going to be answered and it's going to be delivered. And now you're supposed to move as though you already know it's coming.
Yeah.
And so by moving towards that airport, I already knew that God was going to get me there on time. So I never meant to make motorcycle books, to make motorcycle movies, to make motorcycle channels. I meant to make a difference. And I just believed that if I stepped out to make a difference in other people's lives, this started out as me talking to my folks. I had no idea that motorcycle clubs work the same all over the world for the most part. I had no idea what I'm talking about as a Prospects Bible in America in the 99% on the black set meant something to somebody in Turkey trying to get in a motorcycle club. I had no idea they operated the same. I had no idea that there were motorcycle clubs like these all over the world. I had no idea. So this was not something I planned. I didn't plan to be the great gift of motorcyclism. But if that is what's happened, because I decided to drive toward that airport, and God had all those signs up and ready for me, then so be it. I give all glory and honor to God.
Yeah, you have impacted, changed You changed, impacted my life. I can tell you that.
Well, I appreciate that.
You know that? Because it makes me, or just even just reading or watching your channel, it makes me want. Yeah, I can tell you times where we go through, I go through my own different situations on the set, or just trying to be a better brother. And you can say something one day, and you're like, I never thought of it that way. I never looked at it that way. Maybe I need to calm down, take a step back. It's not all bad. You can get through it.
You can.
These are the times where you don't. I feel like, all right, I can't get through this. And you get on there and you say this. And I even commented one day. I was like, yeah, I needed that right then. And so it's like, you've impacted thousands, millions of people. Me personally.
Well, like I say, I'm just thankful if I could, because that's what I asked that what God would allow me to do. And I tell you something, and this came from another thing, which was the loss of a woman that I loved because I had been ugly. And I tried to make a deal with God. God, if you give her back, I will help the folks that I can help. And for me, it was bikers. But the funny thing, God doesn't make deals. It's kind of funny. He goes, yeah, you're going to do that. Yeah, you sure are going to do that. And I didn't get that person back. But what I got was an complete and entire world of folks like what I have now. And then when it was time for me to have a proper woman, I knew how to treat her right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, my last question, man, this has been an honor. My last question to these young bikers, people who are even thinking about becoming a biker or joining a motorcycle club, what advice would you give them?
You can't consider yourself a brother until you know how to be a brother. You can't call me your brother and covet after my beautiful woman.
Right.
You can't call me your brother and talk about me behind my back. I don't care what someone else has to say about me. What I care about is why they feel so comfortable coming to you with it.
Yeah.
You can't be a brother when you steal from the club. You can't be a brother when you take more than you give. I would tell someone who is interested in being a motorcycle club member and being a full patched brother that you need to learn how to deserve to wear a patch. You need to learn how to be someone who is worthy of wearing a patch. You need to learn how to give more than you receive. You need to learn the words we. We. We is about us. It's about ours. Stop saying mine, my, and start saying we, ours, together. Together as one. We. We means yes in French. Yes, we can. Yes, we can do it. It is ours. The motorcycle club is about us, a we, a team, a brotherhood of people who treat one another like precious nuggets of treasured material, like gold or diamonds or platinum. If I treat you like platinum in every dealing, then I treat you like my brother, regardless of whether you give it back or not. Because we don't give the motorcycle clubs for them to give back to us. If you do, you're going to be sorely disappointed. I can tell you my club has broken my heart. I can tell you my club has made me cry. I can tell you my club has many times not deserved the very best that I've had to give. And I still gave it every damn time. I gave it because it was good and it was right to do. My mother used to always say, never give with the expectation of getting something back, because human beings will disappoint you. They are not thankful. They only need to receive. So if you're giving in order to have someone be thankful, have someone shower you with praise, you're going to be so sorry because that ain't happening. You give because you can. You give because it's good. You give because it's right. You give because you have it to give. When you're going to loan somebody some money, you only loan them the amount that you can lose.
Yeah.
So if they need 500, but you can afford to lose 100, you give them 100. And that's a gift. And if they give it back, fine. But if they don't, it doesn't matter because you gave it, you could afford to lose it, it's gone, it didn't come back, and it doesn't have to destroy our friendship.
Right.
We can still be brothers. Because, brother, I gave that to you. That was already yours to have.
Yeah. And I think that's the quote. That day, that specific day, when you give your best, almost treat it as if it's already gone. You're not giving it to expect something back. And that was it. I tell you, I was like, man, I never looked at it that way.
And that gets you. I mean, I did this, and then they didn't do that.
And you can't do that
because you'll be hurt forever. So that's what I would tell anybody. It takes a lot to be a full patch brother, but it's going to take more than you'll ever get back, unless you are satisfied with making the MC better after you've gone than it was before you got there.
Black Dragon, it's been an honor. Oh, before we go, definitely, do you want to give out your YouTube information?
Oh my goodness, yes. So please follow me on my channel, Black Dragon Biker TV. And on Black Dragon Biker TV, we also have Black Dragon Biker News that you can trust because it comes from the angle of bikers. Also, I have a biker news channel, Black Dragon Biker News, which you will find at bikerliberty.com. Bikerliberty.com. And on there, you will see all kinds of stories and everything, especially stories that YouTube won't let us tell because YouTube is a big demonetization stuff going on. And if you're talking about the wrong things, like I showed a guy with his scalp split, his wig split, that's to make people ride with helmets, but that was demonetized.
Okay.
So you can go find stuff like that, intricate stories on bikerliberty.com. My podcast is The Dragon's Lair, Motorcycle Chaos, Mondays and Fridays, and it can be found on Spreaker, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Podbeam. I'm even on Spotify, and I'm on another one now. Did I say iTunes? But there was another big one. I'm on all these big ones. And finally, my new channel is called Think Tactical. It started out as a biker prepper channel, and it's for my prepper folks. You want to know about guns, you want to know about self-defense, you want to know about how to protect your woman, how to harden your home, make yourself less susceptible to home invasions. All these things for protection for you and your family are on Think Tactical. And ThinkTacticalTV.com is also the website to it. And our podcast, Think Tactical, which you'll find on Spreaker.com under Think Tactical. So we have Black Dragon Biker TV, which has Black Dragon Biker News Network. We got Dragon's Lair, Motorcycle Chaos, which is the podcast. We got bikerliberty.com. We got Think Tactical, and we got ThinkTacticalTV.com, and Think Tactical, the podcast.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
And we got you growing.
Yes.
And
make sure you
we want you guys to hang out with this cat. He's trying to do things the right way, so we're going to watch him do what he's doing. He's got great equipment, you know. Yeah,
I'm trying to get everything fine-tuned, so bear with me. I appreciate the patience. But we're getting it right for you.
The big old Canon. Well, I'm still podcasting on a phone. I'm embarrassed. They come in here. He's got his beautiful woman here. I hope I didn't put you out. He's got his beautiful woman here that is helping him and everything. You got to have a beautiful woman that's helping and everything.
Yeah.
Come here. Hurry up, you. So you got to have somebody that's helping you out and helping you do your thing. Stick your head in and say hi. Hi to the peoples.
Hello, everyone.
So, thank you. So, he's got it. I think he's going to do great out here. I told him when I saw his channel, I said, I might see the eclipse of my channel here. So, you guys do great. I thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Well, make sure that you all like, you share, and subscribe. Redline Legendz podcast. Till next time.
Redline Legendz.